Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. And in this video I'm going to be explaining the F3 screen in Minecraft Java Edition. So probably everybody who's played Minecraft Java Edition has once seen the F3 screen. It looks something like this, and it appears if you press F3, and so there are a whole lot of numbers here. And in this video I will go through all of them, explain you what they mean. And so if you like Minecraft videos like this one, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Minecraft videos like this one. But let's just get started. So I will start from the top left going to the bottom left, and then over to the top right going to the bottom right. And so on the top left, the first thing we see is our Minecraft version. So this displays the version. So in my case, this is Minecraft Snapshot 21W10A. It also says this is vanilla if you're using mods or stuff like that, and if it's a snapshot or not. Then the second line shows your FPS, or frames per second, or frame frequency, which mainly just tells you how smooth the game is playing, how many pictures you will see in 1 second. And next to the FPS there is a T, and after it says in fancy. And so here you will see what your maximum frame rate is set to, which graphics type you have selected, and if you have clouds enabled, and also if you have VSync turned on or not. So these are all just settings you can find over near the video setting. So for example, let's change our max frame rate to 130. Let's put our graphics on fabulous. Let's turn our clouds on, or let's put them on fast, for example, and let's turn VSync on. And now we will see that on the F3 screen, on the second line after T, we see 130. That's our max frame rate. Then VSync, that means we have VSync turned on. Then fabulous, that's our graphic setting. Fast clouds we have set on, and there we go. So those are the different things you can see over at the first T. And then afterwards there's also a B, and this displays the player's biome blend setting. So that's once again in video settings. We have biome blend up here on 5x5 normal. If we increase this to, for example, 13x13, then we will see that the B up there is set to 6. And so with this you can see which biome blend setting you have enabled without going through the setting. Then the third line says integrated server, and it will display, first of all, in millisecond ticks. It will display the time it takes for a tick to happen on the integrated server. Then next we have 1TX, which means that there is 1 packet sent by the client and 302 at the moment. 302 packets received by the client. I'm not going to act like I understand what this means, just telling you what it stands for. You can of course research this further, but I don't think it is very interesting. Then next we have the fourth line, which first has a C, and this displays the number of chunk sections rendered over the total number of chunk sections in the loaded area. And so if you turn down our render distance to 2, you will see that the total number of rendered chunks goes down to 600, or chunk sections actually. And so this depends on your render distance, and the first number, so 14 at the moment, is the number of chunk sections rendered. So that's the ones we can see right here. So for example, if you look down we can see a whole lot of chunk sections. If you look up we can only see 2. Well, there's just air here, so it doesn't have to render as much as down here. Then afterwards there is a D, and this D is the render distance. So at the moment it's 2, or actually it's the client side render distance. At the moment it's 2, but we can increase it to, for example, 25, and then as you can see the D will be 25. Then we have PC afterwards, and this is the number of pending chunks to be batched. Once again, not quite sure what that means. PU is the pending uploads to video card, and AB is the available buffers to use in the batching process. Also, once again, not that interesting, but the next row has some more interesting numbers. So first of all we have E, which is the number of rendered entities over the total amount of entities in the loaded chunks. And so currently we only see one entity, which is myself. But we can see this number increase or decrease when there are entities on the screen. So there are lots of items here, and I pick them all up. As you can see, the amount of entities greatly decreases. Right next to the E we also have a B, which is always at 0, and this one is actually just not used. Then next row we have a P, which is the amount of particles in the world. So currently that's 230, but we can add some more particles by just using some commands, for example, and now you see the number has risen up to to 1000, we can increase this even more by adding even more particles. And there we go, now the number has risen to 10,000 about. And now there's a whole lot of barrier particles on my screen, so I'll quickly turn that off. There we go, they will all disappear, and you can see the P number all go all the way down, back to 200. Then there's another T next to the P, and this displays the total number of entities, including mobs and dropped items in the loaded chunk. And below that we have the client chunk cache, which is the most chunks that can be loaded on the client, with all kinds of west information and east information, and something similar for server chunk cache below that. Once again, nothing too interesting to say about these two rows, so let's just move over to the last one of the first section, which is the dimension of the player. So first of all, it says Minecraft Overworld. If we switch over to the end, for example, here we go, we will see that it says Minecraft the End. And next to that it says FC, and FC is the number of chunks that are force loaded in your world, and you can force load a chunk by using the force load command. So let's force load some chunks, and you will see that now the number of force loaded chunks is 16. Then the second section of the F3 screen first of all shows X, Y and Z. So these are your exact X, Y and Z coordinates with way too many digits of precision, but could be very useful of course. Below that it says the block, and this is the block your player's feet are at. We will see that the block value right now is 49.63.9, and this means that this block over here has those coordinates, and so these coordinates are rounded to a full number. Next up is the chunk, and the first three numbers here are the coordinates within the chunk you're in right now, so they will change quickly as you move around. And the second three numbers are just the value of the chunk you're in, so these change by 1 every time you enter a new chunk, as you can see here. The fourth row here is facing, which shows you the direction you're facing at the moment. So the first part is south, west, north and east, and also what that means for X and Z, so positive Z, negative X, negative Z and positive X. And the last numbers are the horizontal rotation, so that's the first one, so that's the horizontal one if you just move like this, and the second one is the vertical rotation, so that one changes if you change your rotation like this. Next up is client light, and this shows the light value of the block where your feet are. So the first number is the total light level, the second number is the light from the sky, and the third number is the light from any other blocks like torches or glowstone and stuff like that. Next is CH, which is the Y coordinate of the highest block that exists at my current X and Z coordinates. And so this is client side, and the first one, S, is the Y coordinate of the highest non-air block on the XZ coordinates. So for example, we are right here, the highest block is this water over here. Let's actually fly away from the water to over here, and we'll see that S is 68, and that means that this block over here has Y level 68, which we can see is correct because of the block part over here. And the M value after it is the Y coordinate of the highest block at this XZ coordinate that has blocking motion material or is liquid. Here we go, a lever for example has S73 and M72. Then below that we have SH, which is the server side values of the Y coordinate of the highest block. And first of all we have S, which is the same as for CH, which is the Y coordinate of the highest non-air block. Then O is the Y coordinate of the highest block at this XZ coordinate that has a blocking motion material. So that's the same as we saw for CH as well. M is then the same as for CH, so that's the Y coordinate of the highest block at this XZ coordinate has a blocking motion material or it is liquid. So we can move over here above the liquid, and then we will see that for O it is the block all the way down here that it's detecting below the liquid, and M is above the liquid. And then ML is the Y coordinate of the highest block at this XZ coordinate that has a non-blocking motion material and is not leaves. So if we tower up with some leaves, you will see that all the coordinates change except for the ML one because it ignores leaves. Then afterwards we have Biome, and this just displays the biome you're in right now. Nothing fancy there. Local difficulty shows the difficulty of the chunk you're in, and this can change over a period of time, and also if your difficulty is set to easy, normal or hard. And next to this local difficulty there's also a day counter, which just represents how many days you've been in this world, starting with day 0. Next row we have SC, which is usually at 286, and this is the number of spawn chunks in your world. And then we have 6 values, which account for different types of mobs. So the first one, M, is the total number of monsters. So let's summon in some more monsters and you'll see this number going up. So there we go, M goes up to 75, and there we go, 80, and so on. Then C is for the total amount of creatures, and so this one will go up by, for example, pigs and other passive mobs. A is for ambient mobs, and that's, for example, bats. So if you spawn some more bats, you'll see the A number go up. There we go, up to 20, and so on. Then the first W you see there is for water creatures like squids. So let's summon in some squids, and you'll see the first W number go up. There we go. The second W number is for other water creatures. So let's spawn in some pufferfish, and you'll see the second W number go up. And finally we have M, which stands for the total amount of miscellaneous entities. But I'm not quite sure which mobs are actually considered miscellaneous. So if you could figure it out for me, that would be very nice. Just leave a comment down below with mobs that you find are miscellaneous. And then the last row of the second section first of all shows sounds. So this is the number of sounds playing currently and the maximum number of sounds playing. So the number of sounds that currently playing are apparently 5 or 6. And if we move down here to all the mobs, we will see this number increase. There we go, up to 10. And you also see on the bottom right I have my subtitles turned on, so you can see them what the sounds are as well. And so these first two numbers, the 12 and 247, these are the sounds like breaking a block, moving, fire or mobs. And the second pair, so the 0, 8, are streamed sounds such as music, music from music discs, and ambient sounds as well. And so if you start playing a music disc, you will see the second number increase to 1 as well. And then there's also mood, which indicates how close the player is to the next mood ambient sound being played, which is currently at 0. So here we go. If I'm in a cave, as you can see, the mood counter is currently at 2%. And so once it is at 100%, a ambient sound will be played. Okay, so we're almost at 100%, currently at 97. So in 3% we should hear one of the ambient sounds of Minecraft. Here we go. Okay, it was very quiet, but at the bottom right you did see eerie sound played, and now the counter has reset, so now it will go all the way back to up to 100, and then you will hear another sound. So if you want, you don't have to be surprised by any of the Minecraft creepy sounds ever again, by just looking at this mood number and the F3 screen. Then below the second section, there can also be a section about the shaders you have equipped. I currently don't have any shaders on because I'm in the snapshot, but there could be information on your shaders there. Then the third section here showcases if you have the pie chart visible and if you have FPS plus TPS visible. So you can activate these by holding shift and pressing F3. So as you can see, we see the pie chart and it also says visible here. And you can also hold Alt and press F3, and then you will see these graphs on FPS and TPS as well. You can also activate both at once by holding shift and Alt and then pressing F3, and then it looks like this. And then the very bottom line on the F3 screen just shows you how to get to all the extra features. So that's hold F3, press Q, and that's all of these features over here, all the debug features. If you want to know more about these, I already made a video on them, so check out the link in the top right hand side of your screen and just watch that video as well. There we go, that's the whole left hand side of the F3 screen. Now let's move over to the right hand side. So first of all we have Java, which shows the Java version the player is running, and if it is 32-bit or 64-bit. So that's not the version of Minecraft, but the version of Java. Then below it, it shows the amount of memory the game uses, both as a percentage and as a megabyte value. And it also shows the maximum amount of memory the game can use, which in my case is 2 GB or 2048 megabytes. And then below that you see the amount of memory the game has allocated from the max the game can use, which in my case is just 100%, 2 gigabytes. Then the second section is just one line, and it shows all the information you need to know about your CPU. And this is just the CPU your computer is using. It shows how many threads it has, the brand, the model, and what speed it runs in gigahertz. Then below that we have display, which shows the resolution you're currently playing at, which I think I can change by doing this. There we go. It looks a bit different on the screen now as well. I just minimized the screen and now you can see the display is smaller as well. Let's get that back. It also mentions the name of the GPU company. So in my case this is Nvidia Corporation. It shows the graphics card, which I have a GeForce GTX 1060. And it shows the OpenGL version, which in this case is 3.2, and the driver the player is using. And then there is a couple more things. Yeah, of course we went through this entire F3 screen right over here, but it actually changes a little bit if you start looking at a block, so it doesn't really matter. You can be far away from the block, it still works, but at a certain point in time it stops working. So there's a range here as well, which is about 18 blocks or so. And so we have targeted block first of all. And so this displays the block the player is targeting. So for example we have Minecraft grass block over here. It also shows the coordinates of the block I'm looking at. And it shows all the different states this block has. So for example for grass you can see that it's holdable by Enderman. It's a valid spawn block. And you can plant bamboo on it, and currently it's snowy false. You can turn it into snowy true as well by giving yourself a debug stick and then right clicking. So there we go, we can see that snowy is turned from false to true and back again as well. And then right below it says the targeted fluid as well. Of course it's empty at the moment because I'm not looking at any fluid, but if I go over to the water here, as you can see it says that it's water. Targeting water, it says the location of this water as well. And it says if it's falling or not. Now I can't change it with a debug stick, but I can get a bucket of water and just pour it down over here. And now we can see the level of the water as well. And if it's falling, so for example right there is a falling water block. And these are not falling but have a certain water level. And then there's one more, and it's targeted entity. So let's go over to this wandering trader over here. And at the bottom you will see the targeted entity is a wandering trader. There we go, that's the entire F3 screen explained. I hope you now know everything you need to know about this F3 screen. And I hope you found this helpful as well. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Minecraft videos just like this one. I want to thank my tier 3 member, the Smikkelaar. Thank you so much for going a tier 3 member. If you also want to become a member, click the blue join button below the video to check out the different tiers. There we go. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope to see you in the next one. So until then, bye bye!